Ask about Israel, but the 20 million doses are AstraZeneca doses, or there are
other doses of approved vaccines?
Other vaccines.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So my question is, if you say that the only solution is a two-state solution, that requires both parties to want that, which they don't seem to right now, does that mean that despite all of your quiet, intensive diplomacy behind the scenes, that the U.S. really has limited leverage and power to solve this problem?
Well, I would say first that right now our quiet, intensive diplomacy is, of course, not negotiating a two-state solution.
Right.
I know you're not suggesting that, but just for clarity purposes, that is to bring an end and to de-escalate the violence on the ground now. And certainly we feel we have strong relationships with Israeli leaders, we have strong relationships with key partners in the region, and we're hopeful that those conversations, that quiet diplomacy, will help bring an end to the violence and reduce the conflict on the ground. As it relates to a two-state solution, you've been through many of these, as have I, and it is clear that it will require both parties to be committed themselves. The United States cannot manufacture on our own a two-state solution. It would require both parties having that desire to move forward.
So it sounds like what you want the American people to understand is that although you are trying your hardest and doing everything you can with all your relationships behind the scenes, the U.S. does not have the power to solve this problem, or doesn't have the leverage to solve this problem.
Well, I would say first that it's been 7 days. Every single life that is lost, a Palestinian life, an Israeli life, is a tragedy. It has been 7 days. As you know, these conflicts have been far longer than that. That is not our objective, of course. We want to de-escalate as quickly as possible. But yes, it would require actions from Israel. It would require actions from Hamas to end the violence on the ground. There are a range of parties and entities who are involved in those discussions, and we want to play as constructive a role as humanly possible.
I have one more quick one. Is it fair to say that you don't want to answer the question yes or no whether the president feels the Israeli response has been disproportionate?
I don't think it's constructive. We are going to take everything we convey, whether it's a statement or an action, is going to be to the end of de-escalating the situation on the ground. Hence, we're not going to give a day-by-day grade. Clearly, we want to end the violence. Clearly, we want to de-escalate. Clearly, we want the lives of Palestinians, Israelis to be saved. Go ahead, Nancy.
The Washington Post reported that the Biden administration earlier this month approved $735 million in weapon sales to Israel. Is the White House considering putting that on hold during the fighting? And is the Israeli response forcing the administration to reconsider future arms sales?
I've seen the report. I would say the State Department would be the entity to confirm, which I don't believe they have, any future sales or weapon sales. We do have an ongoing and abiding strategic security relationship and partnership with Israel, but in terms of the status of that or considerations moving forward, I'd point you to the State Department.
And just one more question.
Yamiche?
Thanks so much for taking my question. Does President Biden think that there are any war crimes being committed right now in the Middle East? There are some experts who told the New York Times that they think that there could have been war crimes on both sides.
We're not going to be making an assessment of that from here. Our objective is on taking every step we can to reduce the violence, to de-escalate the situation on the ground, to save lives, to ensure that we are bringing some stability back on the ground.
I mean, just to follow up, is the White House at all, I guess maybe, or is the president at all concerned just about the number of civilians that are being killed? That's why some of these experts are telling the New York Times that these are war crimes.
Well, I would say, Yamiche, that in the readouts that we put out this weekend, we included, and as I've noted a little bit earlier in the briefing, his concern about the lives lost. Every life lost is a tragedy, and certainly that's why we are eager to de-escalate the violence on the ground, bring an end to the conflict, so that more lives can be saved.
Can I ask you, I want to also switch to COVID.